Have you ever woken up in the middle of the night wondering, what happens if one day I can't take care of myself anymore? Not because something went wrong, but because age, slowly and quietly, began to take away the little things, your strength, your memory, your freedom. It's a thought that haunts more people than you'd expect. Not just the idea of growing older, but the fear of becoming a burden to the very people you love most. What if one day you needed help just to cook breakfast? What if you couldn't remember where you left your keys, or even your medication? And what if the people around you were too busy, too tired, or too distant to notice? These aren't just what-ifs. They're real stories playing out every single day in families across America. But here's the truth most people won't tell you. Aging doesn't have to mean fading. You still have choices, you still have power. And with the right knowledge, this chapter of your life can be the most independent, joyful, and fulfilling one yet. In today's video, we're going to open the door to a different kind of agings, a better kind. We'll explore how small daily habits, like what you eat, how you move, how you think, can give you back the strength and confidence that so many believe is gone for good. We'll also talk about how to protect yourself from financial traps and scams that prey on seniors, how to maintain your dignity without relying on your children for support, how simple emotional shifts can deepen your relationships and keep your mind sharp, and why the key to long life isn't in a bottle, but in your own hands. This isn't about miracle cures or expensive supplements. It's about real, proven, and practical wisdom, so you can wake up each morning knowing you are not losing life, but gaining control. Because let's be honest, there's nothing more painful than feeling left behind, unheard, or invisible. And there's nothing more powerful than an older adult who takes charge of their health, their finances, their mind, and their happiness. So if you've ever looked in the mirror and asked, is this what the rest of my life is going to be like? Then please stay with us. What you're about to discover could help you not only live longer, but live better with strength, joy, and dignity. Let's begin. 1. Living healthy is the foundation for freedom and dignity. There's a quiet kind of dignity in being able to make your own cup of coffee, to stand at your kitchen counter, pour just the right amount of cream, and take that first warm sip while watching the morning light spill through the window. It seems simple, routine even, but for many it's a reminder of something far deeper: independence. As we grow older, the world around us begins to treat us differently. People start offering to help with things we used to do without thinking. Carrying out groceries, cooking dinner, climbing the stairs. At first it feels kind, thoughtful, but over time it can begin to feel like the world is slowly taking away our freedom, one task at a time. But here's the truth: health is the foundation of freedom. And no matter your age, it's never too late to protect it. You don't need fancy gym memberships or expensive supplements. You need daily devotion to the little things: nutritious meals, gentle movement, good sleep, and a spirit that chooses joy over bitterness. Just a walk around the block each morning. Just a handful of almonds instead of chips. Just a few deep breaths when the news or the noise gets too heavy. These aren't grand changes, but they build strength, not just in your body, but in your confidence, in your soul. There is real pride in knowing you can still cook your meals, sweep your porch, water your plants, or help your grandchildren with their homework. These are not just chores. They are acts of strength, daily proof that your life still moves with energy and meaning. And the most powerful combination of all? A healthy body and a hopeful mind. Because physical health without purpose becomes a burden, and emotional strength without physical ability becomes frustration. But when you care for both your body and your spirit, you create a balance that allows you to not just exist, but truly live. So today, take one small step. Maybe it's drinking a glass of water before coffee. Maybe it's stretching your legs. Maybe it's smiling at your reflection. Every little choice you make tells the world, I'm still here, I still matter, and I'm not done living yet. 2. Warning about scams and staying sane. They didn't knock on your door with a ski mask and a crowbar. They wore warm smiles, gave you free vitamin samples, invited you to a wellness talk at the community center. They called you sir and ma'am, asked about your grandkids, and offered to drive you home. That's how they do it now. Today's scams don't look like crime, they look like kindness. Across the country, countless older adults are falling victim to financial scams that are disguised as health seminars, friendship circles, or miracle product pitches. These schemes are designed to earn your trust, and once they do, they aim straight for your wallet, your medical history, and sometimes your entire savings. It's heartbreaking, not just because money is lost, but because trust is broken. Because suddenly you begin to question your own judgment. You stop answering calls. You withdraw. You become afraid. But listen carefully. Your mind is your greatest asset, and staying sharp, truly sharp, is the best protection you have. Here's what to watch out for: events offering free gifts or exclusive health solutions with no doctor in sight. Salespeople asking for personal health or financial details up front, supplements or treatments that promise to cure aging, memory loss, or chronic pain. Invitations that happen outside of trusted clinics or licensed pharmacies. If something sounds too good to be true, it usually is. It's okay to be cautious. It's okay to say no. You don't owe anyone your money or your trust just because they seem polite or persistent. Stay informed. Ask your doctor. Talk with your children or trusted friends before you buy. If you're ever unsure, give yourself permission to walk away, because confusion isn't the danger. Being afraid to speak up is. And remember, there is no shame in being targeted. These people study psychology, emotions, and vulnerability. But once you see the game for what it is, you win. You are not helpless. You are not gullible. You are wise, experienced, and more aware than ever. So keep your mind sharp. Keep asking questions. And above all, don't let someone else's smile cost you your peace. 3. Financial independence is the foundation for self-esteem. There's a quiet kind of freedom in knowing you can still write your own checks. Not because you need to buy something fancy, but because you can without asking anyone's permission, without leaning on your children, without feeling like a burden. Financial independence in our later years isn't about being rich. It's about having the power to choose where you live, what you eat, how you spend your time, and yes, how you age. For so many older adults, the most painful part of getting older isn't the aches or the slower steps. It's that moment when asking for help becomes routine, especially with money. You might start with small things, a loan here, a request there, but over time, it becomes a pattern. And suddenly, you're no longer just a parent or grandparent. You feel like an obligation. That's a heavy feeling, and it's not what you want, for you or for them. That's why planning ahead matters. Having a steady pension, a little savings, and a home that's truly yours gives you more than security. It gives you dignity. It means you can say yes to helping your grandchild with college books. You can say no to a living arrangement that doesn't suit you. You can give without guilt, receive without shame, and live without fear of becoming too much for anyone. Financial independence isn't just about having enough. It's about protecting your self-worth. Because let's be honest, our children have their own lives. Many are dealing with mortgages, debt, rising costs, or even caring for their own children. When we can support ourselves, we give them room to breathe. We lift a quiet weight from their shoulders. We strengthen our family, not just with money, but with respect. And when you have that kind of stability, you get to be generous out of love, not out of need. That's a beautiful place to live from. So whether you're still budgeting every dollar or you've built a nest egg over decades, remember, this is your freedom. Your ability to choose, to help, to say, I'm okay, that's your gift. You earned it, and no one can take it away from you. Communication and understanding help connect generations. Have you ever noticed how some grandparents seem to be the heart of the family, while others slowly fade into the background? It's rarely about age. It's not about how many stories you can tell or how much wisdom you have gathered. It's about connection. The truth is, many older adults find themselves feeling left out, ignored at the dinner table, talked over during visits, or only called when someone needs a ride or a favor. It hurts. And often we tell ourselves, they just don't understand what I've been through. But here's something powerful. You don't need to be understood to be valued. You need to be present, not just physically, but emotionally. Think of the elders we all admire, the ones who make a room feel safe and warm just by being in it. They don't interrupt with complaints. They don't correct every little mistake. They listen, they support, they offer peace instead of pressure. That's emotional strength, and it's a gift that bridges generations. You see, today's young people are navigating a world filled with anxiety, constant change, and pressure we didn't face in the same way. They don't always want to hear what life was like in 19 so. What they do want, often without realizing it, is someone who can listen without judgment, offer a calming word, or just sit in quiet companionship. When you offer that kind of presence, you become more than a grandparent or parent. You become a safe place. And here's the truth that often gets overlooked. Emotional value builds lasting relationships. If your grandchildren or children feel better after spending time with you, they'll keep coming back. Not out of obligation, but out of love. That doesn't mean pretending to be someone you're not. It means softening where you can, letting go of needing to teach a lesson every time. Instead, share a story when it helps, but ask about their world too. Not to critique, but to understand. You've lived through decades of joy and hardship. That gives you a strength they need, but only if it's offered with kindness, not control. So ask, listen, encourage. You don't have to say much, just be the calm in their storm. Because sometimes the most powerful way to lead a family is simply to love them exactly as they are. 5. The value of a long-term relationship, first marriage versus late marriage. I'm 70 and I still wake up before the sun to make my husband's breakfast. That's what Mrs. Eleanor told me last spring as she brushed flour off her apron with a quiet, contented smile. She wasn't boasting. She wasn't looking for praise. She was simply telling the truth, her truth. Every morning she rides her electric scooter to the market. She picks up fresh vegetables, checks on the grandkids, cooks, cleans and folds laundry before tending to her husband, whose health has faded with the years. He can no longer do much, but he still loves the smell of her biscuits and the sound of her voice humming as she moves through their little home. Is it tiring? I asked. She smiled. Yes, but it's love, and I'm proud to still give it. That's the power of a bond forged over decades. A love that has weathered seasons of joy, pain, arguments, triumphs, and still stands. In a world where convenience is king, we don't talk enough about the sacred weight of a life built together. First marriages, those that span 30, 40, even 50 years, carry a kind of emotional gravity that can't be bought or rushed. Late life companionships, by contrast, often begin from necessity. A widow meets a widower. Families encourage the match. They move in for support, for shared chores, for a second chance at warmth. And while there is comfort in those relationships, perhaps even companionship, they often lack the same fire, the same soul-level bond that comes from growing old with someone who knew you young. That's not to say late life love isn't valuable. It is. But there's something sacred about a relationship that has been tested over time, one built on shared memories, inside jokes, family losses, holidays, and quiet Tuesdays. When Mrs. Eleanor talks about her husband, she doesn't just describe a man, she speaks of a history. Her voice softens not because he's perfect, but because he's hers, built into the fabric of her life like well-worn flannel. That kind of love doesn't demand attention. It's not loud. It just is. So if you've spent your life beside someone, argued, forgiven, laughed, endured, know this. What you have is a treasure. Not everyone gets to hold on to a bond that deep. And no new love, no matter how well-meaning, can easily replace it. Because true love, the kind that holds through decades, isn't a convenient. It's committed. And in a world that's always moving fast, always looking for the next thing, that kind of love is one of the last real sacred things we have. 6. Wisdom, lifelong learning, and technology. I never thought I'd be texting my grandson emojis, but here we are. That's what Mr. Harold, 82, chuckled as he proudly showed me a message from his youngest grandchild. A simple string of hearts, smiley faces, and "I love you, Grandpa," wrapped up in glowing pixels. He tapped the screen like a pro, not because he was born into it, but because he chose to learn. In today's fast-moving world, it's easy for older adults to feel left behind. Smartphones, online banking, digital health records, apps for everything from paying the power bill to ordering groceries. It can be overwhelming. But here's the secret. You don't have to master it all. You just need to stay curious. Learning something new doesn't stop at 60 or 70 or even 90. In fact, those who stay mentally active, who read, ask questions, try new tools, often remain sharper, more independent, and more confident well into their later years. Take Mrs. Joanne, for example. At 68, she asked her grandson to teach her how to pay her water bill online. Now she checks her appointments on her phone, video chats with her sister in Arizona, and even watches YouTube exercise classes for seniors. It didn't come easy, but every new click gave her back a piece of independence. Because let's face it, there's something deeply empowering about not having to wait for someone else to help you. Knowing how to send an email, find directions on Google Maps, or log into your bank account doesn't just save time. It gives you freedom, privacy, control. You don't need to study advanced technology. You don't need to code. But learning how to use a smartphone, pay bills, or schedule appointments online, look up trusted health information, connect with loved ones via video call. These small skills open big doors. And you're not alone in this. Ask your kids, ask your grandkids, ask your neighbors. They want to help. Sometimes they just don't know how to offer. So take that first step. Pick up the phone, watch a tutorial. The tools are there, waiting. Because in a world that's constantly evolving, the strongest people aren't the youngest. They're the ones who never stop learning. And that includes you. 7. Enjoyment from hobbies and play. Stay young from within. I don't paint to sell anything. I paint because it makes me feel alive. That's what 76-year-old Martha told her daughter after finishing a watercolor of her backyard garden, full of wild violets, crooked bird feeders, and the little bench where she reads every afternoon. She didn't go to art school. She never sold a single piece. But every time she picked up a brush, something magical happened. Time melted away, and so did the loneliness. You see, hobbies aren't just for the young. They're not just something to keep you busy. They're how we stay young in spirit, curious, joyful, creative, and connected to something deeper than routine. Whether it's painting, gardening, playing chess, writing poems, or even learning how to play video games with your grandkids, these aren't just pastimes, they're lifelines. Science backs it up. People who stay engaged in hobbies tend to have sharper minds, stronger emotional resilience, and even longer lifespans. Why? Because hobbies activate parts of the brain tied to memory, problem solving, and emotional balance. And more importantly, they spark joy. It doesn't need to be loud or flashy, just meaningful. Remember the story of Sir Isaac Newton? In his later years, he was fascinated by soap bubbles. Yes, soap bubbles. He'd blow them with straws, watch how the colors danced in the light, and study their patterns for hours. Or take renowned economist Eugene Yuan, who proudly called playing his second profession. Even in his 80s, he was gaming, blogging, solving puzzles, and loving every moment of it, because they never stopped playing. And when you play, you forget your age. Far too often, society tells older adults to slow down, to act serious, or to leave hobbies to the younger folks. But here's the truth. The older you get, the more important it is to lighten your heart. So pick up the paintbrush, plant those tomatoes, learn that card trick, join the choir, try something new. You don't need to be good at it, you just need to love it, because when you find joy in something simple and silly, you unlock the part of yourself that never aged in the first place, and that more than anything else is what keeps you going. 8. Open-mindedness. Live peacefully, less comparison. Have you ever noticed how the most peaceful elders are the ones who don't try to prove anything anymore? They don't argue just to be right. They don't complain when the world doesn't go their way. They don't compare their lives to others, not their children's, not their neighbors, not even their younger selves. Instead, they live each day with a quiet kind of grace and a broad, open heart. Growing older brings many changes, some joyful, some challenging. There's no denying that aches increase, energy may fade, and the pace of life feels different. But what doesn't have to change is your spirit. In fact, the most valuable gift we can give ourselves in later years is emotional spaciousness. The ability to look at life without judgment, to stop measuring our worth against others, and to find deep contentment in the present. Because the truth is, comparison is the thief of peace. We might look at other families and wonder why our children don't visit as often. We might see friends who travel more, who appear healthier, or whose lives seem easier. But none of that reflects the full story, and none of it should steal your joy. What really matters isn't how others are living, it's how you feel in your own home, in your own heart. Older adults who carry a broad perspective, who accept imperfection, embrace change, and choose to love without keeping score, create the warmest homes and the strongest families. They're the ones whose grandchildren sit a little longer, whose children call just to talk, whose presence feels calming instead of critical. They don't dwell on the should've or could've. They see today as a gift, not perfect, but precious. You don't have to be the wealthiest, the healthiest, or the most admired to have a meaningful life. You just have to be open to laughter, to forgiveness, to change, to love. Because a broad heart doesn't mean ignoring life's hardships. It means choosing not to be hardened by them. So if you find yourself feeling frustrated or forgotten, pause, take a breath, let go of the weight of comparison, and remind yourself, today is still yours, and it's enough. Live it with softness. Live it with pride. Live it with a heart big enough to hold everything and still choose peace. If this message touched something deep inside you, maybe a memory, maybe a quiet wish for the years ahead, leave a comment with the word hope. Hope for health, for independence, for joy that doesn't fade with age. Let's fill the comments section with reminders that we're still growing, still learning, and still choosing to live fully. No matter how many candles are on the cake, aging isn't the end of the road. It's the beginning of a new chapter, one written with wisdom, quiet strength, and the kind of love that only time can grow. It's easy to believe that your best years are behind you, but maybe, just maybe, the most meaningful years are the ones where you finally have time to listen to yourself, to your body, and to the people who matter most. You have earned the right to live at your pace, to choose peace over pressure, joy over noise, and simplicity over chaos. And every small step you take toward health, toward connection, toward curiosity is a powerful act of hope. You don't need to be perfect. You just need to stay present, because the real magic of growing older isn't in what you can still do. It's in who you continue to be, a light, a guide, and a quiet strength for those around you. So take a deep breath, stand tall, and remind yourself you're not fading, you're flourishing in a way only life can teach. If this video gave you something to think about, something to feel, or simply made you smile, please consider liking this video, sharing it with someone you care about, and subscribing to our channel so we can grow together on this journey through the golden years. And in the comments, just type the word hope. Hope for health, hope for connection, hope for a beautiful life ahead. Because that one word says, I'm still here, I still believe, I'm still becoming. Thank you for watching.